November 20th. 2 more days until Thanksgiving. Get a nice little NBA day off on Thursday. Last night was certainly a night. I think I was up like 3 cents or something stupid. Just another day where I put in a lot of work and ultimately I just keep running in place. Lofty, what's going on?
Nothing, man. Same sentiment. It didn't max enter yesterday though. Just single bulleted it and bubbled half. So I think I broke even, which is like, I don't know why I'm even mentioning it, right? What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of? But I did get to watch one of the best NFL football games ever played, ever. Like, I mean, ever. Especially unless you're one of those guys that's like, well, I prefer a defensive battle. I don't.
No.
At all. This game had 59 points in the second half on a 63-point total, 105 total points, 54-51 in regulation. It's crazy. Tyreek Hill had 215 yards.
It's
Mahomes threw 6 touchdowns. It's insane.
It's insanity. It's absolute insanity.
It really is. And it wasn't just like a million different guys. You know what the craziest part is, that you and I were talking about this before we started streaming. Brandon Cooks went over 100. Reynolds had 6 for 80 and a score. And then Todd Gurley, Gerald Everett has 2 touchdowns. Tyler Higbee 6 for 63. Robert Woods 72 and a touch. And Todd Gurley has his worst game of the year. Explain that. 54 points. Todd Gurley has his worst game of the year.
It's in a game that's 54-51. It's insanity. It's absolute, utter insanity.
Crazy.
There were guys on the Rams defense that scored 2 touchdowns and Gurley had nothing going for him.
It's insane. But just the idea that they scored 105 total points.
It's nuts.
God. And that game was supposed to, you know what the craziest part is? If that field in Mexico, like Azteca or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
The Biblioteca.
Nope.
I know. Something as I can't remember what the name was.
You're right.
Studio Azteca. I can't remember. Either way, had that field been in decent condition, Mexico City would have been able to see maybe the best regulation football game ever played. Instead, instead ESPN and everything, and Roger Goodell said, we're going to have a game there next year. Not that it was their fault. The field was in terrible condition, right? You can't let them play.
No.
But instead, ESPN keeps saying like, oh, over here in Mexico City, they're having viewing parties at such and such bar. Like, let's not try and sugarcoat this. Like they missed what would have been in person the greatest football game we're one of ever played. I doubt watching it at a bar sufficed.
No, not so much. That's a crazy place to play anything. Like, do you know anything about when we play there in soccer?
No idea.
It's like a hellhole of terror. They're like real close to the field. Like it's always like a real like. We always play like dog shit there. It's a terrifying place to play. Yeah, between the elevation and like it's always usually like the air is really thick, so it's really difficult to breathe.
Altitude.
Yeah. Us going into Mexico to play in soccer is like, if we can get a draw, we're happy, because it's a fucking awful place to play.
Yeah, I forgot you were a big soccer guy. I wasn't, or I never was. So
yeah,
like that's probably
if we're playing there, it's like, okay, there's a non-zero chance someone gets stabbed on the pitch.
Soccer's a vicious sport.
It's a really contentious place to play.
And by vicious sport, I mean the fans.
Welcome, everybody, to the NBA DFS Strategy Podcast, where we lead off with football and soccer conversation.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the best game ever. Come on.
Oh,
you don't like it? Get the heck out of here, man. We're not going to do that the whole show, but we had to at least – we got to touch on that.
Yeah.
It might have been the best game ever. It might have really been the best game ever. Come on. It's a basketball show, Josh, but we're still sports guys, right?
Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah, it's arguably the most entertaining NFL regular season game of all time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anyway, hit that like button now that you're here. Now that you got our NFL and soccer takes, and hit the like button, subscribe, join us. Use promo code NBA Strategy for a 7-day free trial on any package that we have. If you're interested in trying out Fantasy Cruncher, they are included. Please select Fantasy Cruncher packages if you want to do that. 4 games today, dodging the bullet, and then Thursday we're off. So have fun writing on Wednesday and Friday.
It's good. It's going to be absolutely brutal.
Yep.
But we'll get through it. Yeah.
And I assume we're going to get like a ton of ridiculous news tomorrow, late scratches, guys sitting out all day.
So when I write those, I've been doing a deep dive in some form or another, right? It used to be called the Daily Dribble back when I was at, Fantasy Insiders. And then before that, it was this and that, and, similar format for a while now. When you get these 14, 15 game slates, I just write it in a different format and basically give you every injury to look out for, what the implications would be. And then instead of going by position, kind of just break everything down from a tiered standpoint, because
you have to.
It's right. It's not to make my life easier. It's impossible for the reader to ingest anything or digest anything where it's like, all right, this position has approximately 67 good plays today. Pick one. That doesn't help anybody.
No, it probably doesn't. Look, you could start that at 9 o'clock in the morning and not be finished by lock if you really wanted to put the time in. There's just too many games. It's to write it all, to research it all. A pain in the ass. And then one piece of news can throw the whole article in the garbage if you put that sort of effort in. So you have to change it up on a big slate like that.
Exactly.
You don't have to do that on a 4-gamer though. We can dive into this pretty easily.
Hey man, I'm just following your lead.
Yeah. Well, it's not the most appealing slate in the world, I'm not going to lie. But what is appealing is that both your 2 games start at 7, 2 games start at 7:30, and then we just walk away. You're going to know how you're doing by 8 o'clock. Those are the things I like. I don't like it when let's say I have 70% of my exposure in the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock games. And you open up your phone at 8:30, you've got $300 in entry fees and you're winning $6 and you're like, oh shit, today's going to be awful. And then you wake up and you're like, you won $5 and you're like, I just can't with this stuff. There's no way to there's no way to sit back and we need a different scoring system or different scoring app so that you can have some idea of where you're going to end up at the end of the night. Because if you have late games, it looks like you're taking an absolute beating for 3 hours. Oh,
no doubt. Especially like you said, on these short ones, you're taking a bath. And then this happened to me on, was it last Tuesday or Thursday? I was cashing 15 out of 150. And I went into the late game. It's a 4-game slate that I'm done. But apparently I just had way more than everyone else had on a late game, on one game, on a 4-game slate. And it made a huge difference. Came roaring back. Yeah. Clearly didn't ship anything. But and then there's other times where you're doing quite well. And if it's a 4-game slate and you don't have the one guy, if you have 5% of the guy that's 40% owned on a 3 or 4 gamer, you can just go to bed early.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, this one should be fun to at least track. You'll know what's going on pretty early. I don't know what to do with it though. So let's dive in. You ready?
All right, sir. Let's make this happen.
Alrighty. The Orlando Magic hosting the Toronto Raptors. Magic 108.25 implied total. The Raptors 114.25. Shout out to FanDuel. I believe overnight they changed Mohamed Bamba in FanDuel to Mo Bamba, which broke my sheet a little bit, and I don't think that Bamba is in Fantasy Cruncher as of this morning. So shout out to making that change in the middle of the season. Real great strategy for you there. We'll start with Nick Vooch, 9,500 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DK, which is a pretty appealing price point for the way that he's been playing, and with no one on Toronto that's sort of set up to stop him out of Jonas. And Jonas looked super slow whenever Jonas was chalk a couple days ago. So what do you want to do with Vooch here? I think he looks kind of tasty on this 4-gamer.
He does look tasty on this 4-gamer. I guess. I think okay. So just I'll take 2 different angles at this one.
He's gone for 53 straight games.
Right. Yep. Vooch is really offensively, he's one of the most gifted bigs in the league.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question there. I don't know if he gets credit for it sometimes, but Vooch is just a pure stud when it comes to scoring, when it comes to rebounding too, right? He's averaging a 20-11 double-double this season with a block and a steal per game. Like, he's giving you numbers across the board. Now, that's the good thing. He's also not overpriced. 8,300 on a guy like Vooch, I think, is very fair.
Yeah.
But I don't love this matchup. I'm pretty opposed to rostering guys against Toronto, rostering bigs against Toronto. That's not to say that Vooch can't have his way with, Serge Ibaka or Jonas Valanciunas, but I'd prefer a better matchup. I'll put it to you that way.
No, I get that. He's just been on such a heater, and they're not moving his price. They moved it down.
That's and that's the thing. That's why I try and look at it from 2 different views. Matchup wise, it's not a preferable matchup.
No,
but price tag wise, point per dollar wise, it's a really good spot. Just because there's no reason Vooch should be under like 8,800, I would say.
He hasn't scored less than 30 points like this season. Constantly in the 40s, 50s. He got a 70-point game at one point in time this season.
Yeah, the consistency has been remarkable, right? And
it's nuts.
That's what I talked about yesterday with Tobias Harris. Even before Gallinari was out, Tobias Harris isn't breaking slates for you. But if you've played Tobias Harris like in cash every game, every time the Clippers are on the schedule, he has not hurt you more than maybe once. Like, he's finished with 35 to 45 fantasy points in like all but 2 games this year. Vooch is in a very similar category where, yeah, he has a couple games there where he's not producing huge numbers, but Vooch hasn't had just one complete and utter bust. And if he has, it's been 1 or 2. Aside from that, though, he's just been very, very consistent.
Yeah, that's why I have a little interest, just because he seems to be, he's playing like a guy that's trying to keep his job on a team filled with guys that are competing for his job specifically.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are, and it's possible. Whenever he faces Philly, he ends up smashing them because they got rid of him, had no need for him, which is insane because that was well before Joel Embiid came around. Like, no, we're good. We'll bring in Andrew Bynum and that'll work, which it didn't. We'll draft Jahlil Okafor. That actually, no, let's take Nerlens Noel. That'll work. But yeah, to me, I like Vooch, and it's price based. It's not matchup based, because if Vooch was 9K, I'm talking DraftKings here. Sure. He's 83. If Vooch is 9K against Toronto, or if this is a bigger than a 4-game slate, I'm really not as interested in him. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I just have to point out, I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but Hassan Whiteside is also cheaper than Vooch on DraftKings, and he's facing Brooklyn.
Yep.
So that does change things for me a little bit.
Yeah, Vooch being 8,300 on DK, next closest guy Whiteside at 8,000. Vooch is 9,500 on FanDuel, with Whiteside being $900 away. So the gap is a little different on FanDuel. I just feel like he's if you're playing cash, I think that's a very reasonable option to go to Vooch today, depending on what his ownership is, I guess.
Right, exactly.
But he should be owned. He's been playing phenomenally so far for Orlando from an offensive standpoint. Usage is up. He's been a 1.3 point per minute guy. That's hyper appealing. I've never yearned for so much Vooch in my life, for a guy that I basically won't have on FanDuel.
Right?
95. I'm not paying 9,500 for him on FanDuel, but if I were on DK, I'd probably have like 10 to 15% at 8,300.
Yeah, and hey, you look at like team touches and what their involvement is. He leads the entire Magic team in touches by a wide margin. You look at all of these other numbers, like just tracking numbers. Vooch is at the top of his team in pretty much everything. So it's not just scoring either, right? He leads them with 15 and a half rebound chances per game. All of these are important numbers because I want to know what your opportunities are each night. Like the final numbers are important, but it's also really important to know what your opportunities are as well. And Vooch even leads them in passes made and is second in passes received and second in potential assists per game. So you look at this and you say, okay, there's a reason he's putting up such consistent numbers because the guy's already triple-doubled this season. He came 1 assist shy of a triple-double last time out. Vooch's passing numbers are up. His rebounding numbers are great. And he's leading the team in almost every single category.
Yeah. He's involved in everything. I got to calm down on chat here. Kawhi is playing today. I don't know why anybody thinks that he's not.
Yeah,
chat's freaking out, and I just wanted to shut it down quickly. He's pretty clearly playing.
I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah, he's playing. Until we know that he's not playing, like he is 100% in. That's all. Anyway,
I don't know why. Why wouldn't he play? They're not on another back-to-back.
People are reading the fact that he rested on Saturday, and it's still the most recent news note on attached to his name. So they say Kawhi rest, but it meant Saturday, not Tuesday.
Yeah, actually, even if you look down, it's Leonard was officially ruled out for Saturday's game against the Bulls. He's not playing second of back. Yeah, but he's not playing the second of back-to-backs.
No, there's no way he's sitting out this game unless we get word later, but we shouldn't expect it.
I have him listed as probable.
Yeah.
Now, actually, they might be. Are they on a back-to-back? Let me just check here real quick. Oh wait, they have to be. They are because everybody's playing tomorrow. Yeah, so Toronto is on a back-to-back. But we'll have to see which one he's playing. This is against the Magic. Tomorrow's against the Hawks. My guess, Kawhi plays tonight and sits against the Hawks.
They are the visiting team tomorrow. They are the visiting team today.
Correct.
If one of those was a home game, you'd be sitting that shit out.
The Magic are actually... Wait, why would you sit the home game out?
They're usually more likely... If you're on a double like that, the league is not as happy when you sit out the road game to keep attendance up if you're a stud.
That seems like some horse shit. What about your home team? What about your home fans? That doesn't seem very
It's like Kobe's last year. You know, he played a lot of those road games to give himself the...
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
But against Atlanta, I mean, it all comes down to which game is easy to win. And Houston or Orlando hasn't been that bad. Like, they're actually staying competitive with teams. Toronto should win both, of course, but they should absolutely obliterate Atlanta.
Yeah, you play him today, and then he's got Wednesday off and Thursday off, and then if they play Friday or something, he gets a nice stretch off.
Yeah.
They play again on Friday. Yeah, so, he gets Wednesday, Thursday off to host the Wizards on Friday. No-brainer. He's playing tonight. Let's talk about the rest of Orlando, because some of this pricing on DK is kind of wild. Like, what do you want to do with Evan Fournier at 5,600 or Aaron Gordon at 6,900 or John Isaac at 3,500?
Yeah, they're really pricing him down on the matchup.
Whew.
Toronto's a good basketball team, man.
They really are.
We've been talking about this since the season started. That, if they don't finish with a top 5 defense, I'd be surprised. They've crept up to 6th in defensive rating. That's not a mirage. This is a very good defensive basketball team. And mind you, they've played a decent amount of games without Kawhi Leonard this season, and they're still playing that well. You have to assume that, with how involved Fournier has been in the offense, that he's going to see a good amount of Kawhi. I guess Kawhi starts on Gordon.
Yeah.
I think maybe unless they trust Siakam on him, this will be an interesting one to see because there's no clear go-to, scoring forward or guard that Kawhi is going to be on. So I'm not necessarily sure, which just kind of makes this a little bit less appealing overall. But they are cheap. There's no question. Aaron Gordon, though, if you're asking me which one would you prefer, I would throw Aaron Gordon out there because he is the type of guy that can produce decent numbers without scoring a ton of points. He can block some shots, rack up some rebounds, dish out some dimes. But I'm just even at their price points, I'm sure my projections are going to like them, and I'm going to get some of them just because they're cheap. You mentioned Jonathan Isaac, but I think in close games, it's tough for me to project him for that many minutes. I'm not that high on them. Danny Green is still a really good defender, especially around the perimeter, which is where you're going to see Fournier operate from quite often. So I think this is a tough matchup for Fournier too.
For sure. This is all pricing for me. I don't have much of anything for Orlando on FanDuel. I got 11% Aaron Gordon. He's at 7,900, which is nice, but Fournier is at 66. I don't. If Isaac were minimum salary on FanDuel, it'd be different, but he's 5,100. That's not something I'm interested in. So the only guy that I really like on my side is Gordon. But if I were playing on DK, I would use John Isaac as a punt. I would have Fournier pretty heavily at 5,600. Hell, I'd even take a look at John Simmons at 3,300. He's the type of guy that would be in this game if they were trying to as a, Kawhi stopper.
Yeah, to me, it's really gonna depend on whether or not, the other value opens up. Like if there isn't a lot of value and I need to do something, sure, Jonathan Isaac at that price point makes a whole lot of sense. I'm trying to import these projections.
Well, don't worry. There's going to be a lot of value in the next game we talk about. So Isaac is not going to be that important.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just don't know how much I'm going to land on. Let me I'll crunch this while we're talking. I want to see, without really making any adjustments, what I get with how much of this Orlando team I get, because I have a feeling. Okay, so
I got a ton of Fournier when I ran a DK card.
Yep. It's just because out of the gate, I'm getting a boatload of Evan Fournier.
It's too cheap.
It is strictly a price thing, and a lot of Jonathan Isaac, and a lot of Aaron Gordon. No, not really any Vooch. Mind you, this is DraftKings.
Sure.
And the reason for that is that I'm getting a ton of Whiteside. And I think that's pretty reasonable at a cheaper price point against the Nets. But yeah.
Fournier was 6,700 8 days ago on DraftKings. Right. He's 5,600 now.
And if you want to, another thing about Fournier is he's the type of guy that will have some bad games. But Fournier's also been really consistent for himself, a guy who has been all over the map in production since he started. He's actually been pretty consistent. He's been coming in above 30 fantasy points in large majority of his games this year. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's actually doing a whole lot more in the facilitating categories. We've just seen him as a pure shooter before, but this year he's averaging a career high 4.2 assists, career high 1.2 steals. He's actually not averaging a career high in points, which is funny, but you're seeing more assists, more opportunities, and more 3-point attempts as well. So all of that should add up and help him out quite a bit. Oh, and I think his minute totals. No, wow, so he's playing less than 30 minutes per game on average. Last year he averaged over 32 minutes per game.
Yeah, he went through a little bit of a swoon in the middle. Had a 19-minute game against the Knicks that certainly isn't helping. He went on the stretch with 23 fantasy points against the Knicks and 12 against Philly. But prior to that little stretch, 30 plus and 5 straight.
And that game against the Knicks, let's not forget, that was the game where they were literally up by 30 at halftime, and the game was never competitive at all.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Fournier on DK today, but as big of a fan as you could be against the Raptors. Right.
Yeah, we should stress again though. It's a price thing,
Yeah.
or I'll stress it. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I don't love the matchup for
No.
any of these guys, but
No, neither do I.
it kind of just forces your hand because with Fournier, well, so on the season, Fournier's averaging, let's see, how many fantasy points per minute? Right around 1, just shy of 1. I don't know. He's averaging 29.1.
I have him as a 0.92 point per minute guy.
Okay, on DraftKings, he's 0.99 per minute on DraftKings. I'd probably feel more comfortable putting him around like 0.9 in this game. I do think you'll see at least a small hit in efficiency, but I think this game stays relatively close too. So if I get 33 minutes from him, you're still coming in around like 30 fantasy points, which doesn't kill you, but there are ways that Fournier could let you down today, and there are quite a bit. I'm still going to cap him relatively low, maybe around 30 or something.
Yeah, he's projected for 37 right now, so
that seems high to me, man.
This
That seems
four-gamer.
really
I mean, you just got a ton of them on your first crunch.
I know. It doesn't mean I agree with it.
Right. Yeah. We can go over a little bit of this ownership. 22% for Vooch. These are for DK. 30 for Gordon. 37 Fournier. 30 Isaac. Yeah, that all makes sense to me.
If Fournier is going to be 30 plus, I don't care if it's a 4-gamer. I'm probably going to actively get away from that.
Does he have shooting guard, small forward eligibility?
Yes.
That'll help too, you know.
It certainly will.
It
just seems very rare that he's going to kill you if you don't play him. Like really, really, really rare.
It would really surprise me if today was the day that he did kill us.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look and see like who's around him from a price standpoint. Like Spencer Dinwiddie, Tyler Johnson, Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Otto Porter. It's not a lot. Gallo. That whole area of like high 5s, low 6s is just kind of a little bit of a mess today. So I get it.
Evan Fournier has played 17 games. He has 240 fantasy point games this year. They came against Philadelphia, and the other one came against, let's see here, Philadelphia and Detroit. So
noted juggernaut Pistons.
Right. I don't want to read too much into it.
Sure.
All I'm saying is that Fournier's probably going to finish around like 30, 35 here, which is fine if you have him, but it's also fine if you don't have him, if that's where you expect his range of outcomes to be. And I have a tough time putting it above 40 or above even. The 37 even seems a little high.
It does. It certainly does.
A lot high, actually.
Let's talk about the Toronto side then.
Last thing I haven't predicted him at right under 32, and that still has him popping heavy in crunches.
I got him at that exact 37% number when I ran my DK crunch, and I have him at 29.7.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said you had him at 37 fantasy points. That's.
Oh no! I have him 29.7 DK points, 37% expected ownership from Awesemo.com, 37% ownership in my crunch.
Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense then. Yeah, I have him at 31 projected fantasy points, and even with that, I'm like, that's a little sketchy. But yeah, let's go to Toronto.
10,000 for Kawhi Leonard, who is playing tonight, I would imagine. 9,500 for him on DK. I didn't get him on FanDuel or on DraftKings, and I'm terrified because I've been getting Kawhi Leonard at like my ownership caps basically the entire season. So
really,
yeah. What do you think about Kawhi tonight? He is the only guy in 5 figures for salary on DraftKings or on FanDuel today, and he is the second most expensive player on DK behind Damian Lillard.
Honestly,
okay.
Man.
So I need to correct myself. I got a ton of Kawhi Leonard. We are not projecting him to any ownership because I think we are projecting him out.
That could be it.
I saw the 0 and I thought it was me, and it caught me off guard. Now I got 50% on FanDuel. I don't know why I would have thought that it was suddenly a 0 now after having him constant every single day. I'm such a dumbass. 35. I got 35 on DK.
35.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine. I'm serious. I'm having a real tough time getting on board with Kawhi Leonard. On a slate like this, obviously, Kawhi Leonard is very much in play. But is he? And if you wanted to pair him with some of these other 9K guys, then go right ahead. Then this conversation is moot. But I don't know if Kawhi Leonard's a better play than John Wall against the Clippers. And people are going to scream, but Patrick Beverley. That's not really something that you're too concerned about. John Wall produces in a myriad of ways. Beverley, by the way, was in foul trouble yesterday. Played only 19 minutes.
I don't want to talk about it. I had a lot of Pat Bev yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
Trae Young ended up smashing.
He did indeed.
But Dame Lillard against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. I guess what I'm saying is, while I'll have some Kawhi Leonard because it's a 4-game slate, John Wall and Dame Lillard are not far behind, in my opinion, whatsoever. Actually, it's not even that they aren't far behind. I actually think they're pretty much. I'm comfortable projecting Lillard for more fantasy points than Lillard tonight.
I have Lillard with more fantasy points than Kawhi tonight.
Okay. Yeah. And he's only $200 more expensive.
Yeah.
Now, the blowout concern there is real. The Knicks are terrible. Portland's an 8-point favorite on the road. But nevertheless, Damian Lillard is a stud. You got to wait for the fourth quarter for him to put up the bigger numbers. But, if you're patient, you'll get it. And I don't really think that – I don't think that Kawhi stands out I don't think he stands out among them as like a markedly better play. They're all guys that are producing pretty much in the same range this year. That like 40 to high 50s range with the rogue 60 fantasy point performance. It took Kawhi Leonard overtime to get into the 60 fantasy point range for the first time this season. He's a good player, but he's actually very much less involved totally in the offense than Dame and Wall are. What I mean by that is less assist opportunities, and that hurts when you're not scoring.
Absolutely. Oh, my God. I hate how much Kawhi I'm getting right now. Now I'm nervous. 10K. I'm talking myself out of it.
4 games, man. I mentioned this to Adam the other day on the deep dive, and I think he was as shocked as most. Touches this year. Again, it's not a stat that's the end all be all by any means. Totally understand that, but just stick with me for a second. He is he's 95th. He is averaging the 95th most touches in basketball. He's averaging less touches per game than Jay Crowder, Chetty Osman, Lou Williams,
Jay Crowder,
Rudy Gobert, Monty Morris, Patty Mills, Lonzo Ball. He's a point guard, fair. Bobby Portis when he was healthy. The list goes on. That's kind of crazy to me. Now he's also the way he's made up for that is that he leads the league in points per touch. So that's good. He's super efficient, right?
Yeah.
Actually, Terrence Ross now leads the league with a fraction higher than him. But it's kind of crazy. Kawhi is not seeing those immense amount of touches that was the case in previous seasons. And not to say that he ever was seeing like the most in the league, right? But still, Kawhi Leonard was being 90th or what did I say, 96th is still pretty intense.
He should just be touching the ball more. I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
But it seems to be working for Toronto, so maybe what do I know?
Yeah. Like I said, Kawhi's not a point. He's not the guy. He's not going to handle the ball a ridiculous amount. That's never going to be the case. I was just surprised to see him so far down there.
Oh, yeah. I would never expect that. I also wouldn't expect Terrence Ross to be the leader.
In points per touch, yeah.
And now he's just not the guy that I would have expected. All right, so what
But
do
it's
you
funny
like from the
'cause,
Toronto side?
I think Kawhi's fine. I'm not like this. Okay, I'm gonna have some Kawhi today because it's 4 games.
Sure.
But I'm not in love with him at all. This is just gonna be. And by the way, I'm looking at it. Kawhi's in terms of touches, he's actually been kind of in the same range throughout his career, which is interesting. He's just, I guess, so efficient that it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm gonna have some Kawhi Leonard. I think you kind of have to. Uh, and I don't think it's crazy to look at, a Serge Ibaka here because the slate is as small as it is. Serge Ibaka has been wildly impressive this season. He's getting the minutes. They're kind of all over the place, but we've also seen a lot of blowouts too. And in blowouts, he's going to be one of the first guys off the court. But let's just say this game stays close. You have a good shot at getting another 30 minutes from Serge Ibaka, 28 minutes, and he's just been pretty incredible on a per minute basis. What is he averaging? 1.125 fantasy points per minute this year. Solid numbers.
Yeah, that's a big time season so far for Ibaka. He's been, I think he's on the gas or something now. He needed to get those there since he's 600 years old.
He might be, but against Vooch is a good offensive player, very solid and a pretty talented rebounder, but he's not known for his defensive acumen. So I do think it's a decent spot for Ibaka. He should also have some shot blocking opportunities with how active this Orlando front court is around the basket.
What do you think about Siakam? We are projecting essentially no ownership to him right now.
Yeah, because he's super expensive. It's tough for me to get that high, and the reason for that is that I just prefer Montrezl Harrell. Doc Rivers is not playing. He's not doing the matchup game anymore with Trez. He's realized that this guy is good. Why am I only playing him additional run in good matchups when in quote unquote bad matchups? That means that like Marcin Gortat and Boban Marjanovic are the ones that are getting more run. That's really not the case anymore. We had a great spot for Montrez yesterday. Played 32 minutes, had 55 fantasy points, at 25, 11, and 5 steals and 2 blocks. The guy is so unbelievably active. Here's another matchup where outside of Dwight Howard, this team is kind of small, and it doesn't matter if they are or if they aren't.
Right, because he's been fantastic.
Doc's giving him the run, so that's why I have a tough time going to Siakam at pretty much the same price. Even though, to be fair, Siakam's been very good himself, very consistent himself. Both of these guys are fine. I don't hate Siakam. I just prefer Harrell over him.
No, I'm with you there. Nate in chat says Ibaka is only like 29 or something. He ain't old yet. Yeah, allegedly 29. Allegedly. Like Albert Pujols. We have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's a guessing game. So Lowry, 28% expected ownership on DK, 35% on FanDuel. I'm just differing, I guess, with a lot of this Toronto side. We have Ibaka at 20%. I got 3, and we had Lowry at 35%. I have 13. Just not getting a ton of the Toronto side. That might open up a little bit if we get news that like Anunoby is still out or any other random news for Toronto. But for right now, I guess we're projecting Lowry and Ibaka to be higher in ownership because we're also not projecting Kawhi. And so there's a bit of a cascade to that ownership.
Right. Even I have Kawhi projected in, and I'm still getting a lot of Lowry because he's 7,700, and I still see that being a discount.
I got 3% Lowry on my DK crunch with Kawhi in.
3%.
Yeah.
And he's $400 cheaper or more expensive than D'Angelo Russell on DraftKings. Now, if this is a reinvented Kenny Atkinson who wants to give Russell 30+ minutes every night. Now, I don't know, maybe now that Karis LeVert's out, he needs to inject more scoring or keep more scoring in the offense. If that's the case, then D'Angelo Russell belongs here, no question. But if his minutes are going to remain as inconsistent as they are, and he's only $400 cheaper than Lowry, then I think Lowry is the clear play here. But This is just looking at it from, guys that are priced around him. And, he's $2,000 cheaper than Lillard, basically the same price as D'Angelo Russell. I think this is, I won't say a mispricing because Lowry's in one of those many slumps he goes through every season, but it's still a good spot for Larry to bounce back. So I'll probably have quite a bit of him today.
You want to talk about a real game now?
I really like that, yeah.
The Washington Wizards hosting the Los Angeles Clippers, 115.5 implied total for the Wiz, 114.5 for the Clippers. So 1 point favorites for the Wiz. Dwight Howard hurt his butt again. He is questionable, but essentially doubtful. I have him out right now. And if that's the case, the value that we're looking for is going to come from Washington. So ignoring Wall and Beal to start. Wall got in a little argument yesterday. Told Scotty Brooks to fuck off, which is hilarious. But if Dwight's out, then Markieff Morris is 4,400 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DK. Hard to not love him. I mean, I love him on FanDuel, whether or not Dwight's in or not. Jeff Green, 4,200. Love it if Dwight's out. You can get weird and punt with Mahinmi if you so choose. But there is a lot of value to be had on this Wizards team if Dwight Howard is not playing.
Sure, and let's not overlook how much it influences Montrezl Harrell either.
Yep.
As I said, I think Doc Rivers is going to continue to give him around 27 minutes against bigger front courts, and then upwards of 32 minutes against faster teams. Like we saw with Atlanta. Sure, they throw a traditional 5 out there quite often, but they still run at the quickest pace in basketball. Well, if Howard's out, then Washington becomes one of like the smallest lineups across 48 minutes that you can find.
Yeah.
And then Harrell just becomes a extremely, extremely good play here. I know Harrell played. I know I'm looking at this now. Harrell played them, I believe, earlier this year. He played only 16 minutes.
That's not happening tonight.
There's no way. By the way, he had 25 fantasy points in those 16 minutes because his per minute numbers have been insane this year. But I don't mean to jump around. Just throwing it out there that Harrell isn't affected as much as anyone if Dwight Howard is out, and would become it should be considered one of the best mid-range options. Especially being, he's one of the first guys off the bench playing big minutes. Yeah. And then you mentioned Markieff Morris. He's super volatile, but as you know, the closer you play to the basket as a big, the more reliable you are. And the more minutes Markieff Morris is going to get at the 5 with Dwight Howard out, the more that helps him as a rebounder and easy putback opportunities, easy scoring opportunities. Markieff Morris becomes a spectacular play in that event.
Completely unrelated to basketball right now, Adrian Beltre retired.
Did he really?
Yeah. Pour one out, man. Fun dude.
I like Beltre, man. That's an impressive career.
The Hall
Very
of Fame
impressive career. Oh, yeah. He was awesome.
But
it was close to time to hang it up because the power was completely sapped. I mean, he didn't strike out much, which is solid, but he wasn't really helping the Rangers much anymore.
No,
who was he on? Was he still in the Rangers? Why can't I remember this?
As far as I know, yeah, because Odor and shit always fuck with him.
Yeah, he was Andrews on the Rangers because it was him and Andrews that never struck out.
Yeah.
I put baseball on the back burner for all of these months and then come back to it full steam later. But yeah, screw baseball right now.
Yeah, if we'll circle back to NBA. Yeah, if Dwight is out today, I will have more exposure to the Wizards than any other team. I got a ton of Wall, ton of Beal, ton of Porter. I just want these guys because of Dwight Howard not being on the floor. And it has nothing to do with the additional minutes. It's the simple fact that I figure the Wizards will be better without him.
Yeah, any team's better without him. Kind of like Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah. You see how Kemba's playing without Dwight right now, right?
Yeah, Kemba had a massive negative correlation with Dwight last year.
Yeah.
A lot of teams do because he's not willing to run the pick and roll. And you're a big man, you don't want to run. You don't have any you don't have any desire to work with a ball handler in the pick and roll. It's like, all right, what are you doing out there? It's 2018, and you got no business even being here. But yeah, he only played 7 minutes last game, and the matchup also gets easier for the other side because while Dwight Howard isn't really helping teams, he's still a good rebounder, and the shot blocking numbers might not be there. Maybe that's because his ass is still sore and he's just having trouble vertically. I don't know, but he should be blocking more shots than he is. So I think you're right to assume him out, though.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the situation where they're just going to jam him out there if like what was the quote from Roto World? Like he had trouble putting on his socks or something stupid.
Yeah, if that right, what's the point?
Right. Like what's the goal here? I want to make sure I get it correctly. Howard did not practice on Monday and had difficulty putting on his socks on Sunday. Look, like if that's your struggle, man.
What a weird report, huh?
Yeah. How does that information get out?
What a weird report. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm seeing Kyle Lowry is questionable with an ankle injury, so keep an eye on that.
I think he's fine.
I thought so too, but
not on the injury report. Coach Nick Nurse downplayed the injury when speaking with reporters and intimated that Lowry was just getting a rest day. He didn't. He sat out of yesterday's practice. Fully expected to play today.
Yep, good to know. Just trying to give all the information we can, you know.
I hear you.
Well, Gallinari, though, in a game that we're actually talking about right now, he was ruled out around 6:00 Eastern time yesterday, and now we don't necessarily know what his status is today. It's still too early to know.
Yeah, I have him in because he was sick. So like,
I thought the same about Jared Allen, and he was sick for 5 days.
That's true. I would be more nervous if Gallo was slightly hurt, since he's always slightly hurt. But for now, I'm projecting him in. If he's not, you want to get some Tobias Harris and I don't know, some Mike Scott, who was the only thing I got right in this Clippers game yesterday. Well, I mean, I had Harrell, but he doesn't count. Yeah. He was going to be good regardless. Harrell at 6,600 on DraftKings tonight is ludicrous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
41% ownership though.
That it's tough, but he's just been so consistent that it's tough to ignore him, especially if Dwight Howard is out. That makes things that really changes things. But if Gallo's out, then expect to see another 3-guard starting lineup. That's what I was expecting to see because it didn't make too much sense to start like Tyrone Wallace or Sindarius Thornwell. It would just keep SGA in the starting lineup. Do what you have to do with that. But okay, so yesterday you saw Gilgeous-Alexander still played. He almost played 30 minutes. I think he got up to 29. Yeah, he played 29 minutes. Beverly was in foul trouble throughout periods of this game, so it's tough to know exactly where he's at. He had 3 fouls heading into the halftime, and then he picked his 4th up in his first stint. Never came back out there. Avery Bradley never returned after his first rotation in the second half.
Do you think he plays today?
I don't know. I know here, but another thing on Bradley is he picked up his 4th personal foul, 2 quick ones out of the gate in the third quarter. So I'm wondering that's the reason I didn't have a ton of Mike Scott. Mike Scott played, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He played 16 minutes almost consecutively in the second half. And Beverly and Bradley never returned.
Yeah, that wasn't helpful for me, although I did have 20% Mike Scott, but I needed Bev out there.
Yeah.
So I was just supposed to be a punt. He played fine, and I didn't care what he did. I needed Beverly a lot more than that. What a dick.
Right. He played 12 minutes in the first half. I don't know. I had so the 16 minutes in the second half is something that I really don't know. And they're playing. If Howard's out, you're playing a smaller Washington team, right? So it's tough. Actually, Mike Scott's former team.
Mike Scott on a back-to-back revenge narrative. Hawks and then Wiz.
It's really tough to determine what the minutes are going to look like here, though.
Yeah, until we know Gallo's status, until we officially know Avery Bradley's status, could go a couple different ways. But I don't think it really changes all that much for someone like Harrell.
No, not at all.
I don't like Tobias Harris all that much. He's 8,200 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DK. Like, I'm comfortable with him. I think he's fine for cash. I have a hard time believing I would want him in a GPP, even though the Wizards' defense is utter garbage.
Like I said with Harris earlier, is he's just been wildly consistent, and that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Fading him is perfectly fine. If you wanted to play him in cash, it's also perfectly fine because he really is providing us with just remarkably consistent numbers.
Let me read this off for you. These are his FanDuel point totals over the past week and a half.
Yeah, they're all around the same.
41, 38, 36, 37, 39, 34, 39, 32, 40. It's just okay.
He's remarkably consistent. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's why I think in cash, you can always just run Harris out there and kind of expect something, in the 35 to 41, 45 range.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool. I'm cool with it. That's not what you're looking for in tournaments, but you're going to get mid 30s, possibly high 30s in minutes, and he's going to do his thing. And that's what you get from him. But it's very rare that Harris just takes over in games. Especially because they have Lou Williams, right? They have Harrell, who's even been more aggressive lately. Granted, Harrell cleans up a lot around the rim on offensive misses, but they have guys that can score on this team.
Man, the offensive boards are going to be wide open if Dwight's not playing. Wizards have just been so dreadful rebounding the basketball.
No question. I'll throw SGA in there too, Gilgeous-Alexander. He was not good yesterday. Definitely a bit of a letdown, but he still played what I expected to see was upwards of, what I said I expected right around 30 minutes. He played 29 minutes in 10 seconds or something. Would that have happened if Bradley and Bev were in foul trouble? I don't know. I was assuming that Mike Scott would lose those minutes, but it's tough. So you got a back-to-back. You posed the question, does Bradley play? Which you might be right. It's possible that he doesn't. So Gilgeous-Alexander's price came down $300 on DraftKings. He's not the craziest play, but now that you're getting, it's tough to rely on him because the peripherals have been really lacking lately, and you need more than 16 points and 1 assist to get the job done.
Yeah. Bradley missed 6 straight games. I don't necessarily think he plays tonight.
I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. Wizards are allowing the 5th most rebounds to their opponents this season in total, not by position, just in total, 5th most positions. And they're allowing the 4th most offensive rebounds.
Yeah, they are not a great rebounding team. And if Dwight is out, that is only going to get worse.
Way worse, actually. Yeah.
I mean, that's what put them in the hole to begin with, the first week and a half of the season without him.
For sure, yeah.
Want to move on to the game that I don't care about?
I'll ask you before we do. What are your thoughts on Sweet Lou here?
I have Gallo in. I have Avery Bradley in. I got 8% on FanDuel. We're projecting him for 16. I got none on DK.
I have 1%. One single Lou Williams lineup right now.
If everybody's healthy, I don't see any real way you want to play him at this price point. If Gallo is out and Avery Bradley sits, I'll likely have some Lou Williams, but he's too expensive for it now.
I'm with you on that.
And this is coming from a known Lou Williams lover.
I know. I think you've been right about not overlooking Lou Williams this year. There's really no reason to.
Well, when he's 4,800 or something stupid, it's a much different play. Now he's $1,400 more expensive.
Right, and that clearly makes a difference. But the biggest factor with Lou Williams, the reason that he always is at least in the conversation, whether you want him to be or not, is this guy still has a 31.5% usage rate, a 27% assist rate. And I think people tend to overlook that. But no, Lou Williams is still operating with really heavy usage. And like yesterday, he came 3 rebounds shy of a triple-double. How about that?
That's one you don't see every day.
Right, try that on for size, Josh. He's he's got 20+ real points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 9 games. Like, the dude is still an electric scorer off the bench, and he's still giving you handfuls of assists. So I actually don't think Lou Williams in this particular game is crazy. If you're looking at super low ownership, and I expect to see, what do we have him projected at?
DK?
Yeah.
16.
16, so not crazy low. Lou Williams, he's just one of the. I mean, it is a back-to-back, and he is getting kind of old. But these guys, it's not that big of a deal. Like, Lou Williams still looks perfect. You watch Lou Williams, he looks like he's 20. Like, he's still gunning every single day. As long as you're gunning, efficiency can take a back seat because we're looking for volume. So, yeah, I don't think it's crazy. At least not on DraftKings.
I agree.
And it's a 4-game slate.
If everybody's in, I really don't have it. Like, I'll take what I get, but he's
I'm
not
talking about
be a
if
guy
Gallo's
that
out.
Yeah, if Gallo's out, way different. Way different
Yeah.
set of circumstances then.
Yeah, I should have prefaced that, but if Gallo's out, I do think it makes a considerable difference. He got 30 minutes yesterday, and it wasn't even a great shooting performance. He had 41 fantasy points on 4 for 5 shooting. Plus, Lou Williams is getting to the line at a crazy rate
He
too.
does.
Like,
He's like,
you're seeing. Yeah, it's so that's all. He's still been pretty impressive despite his age.
One caveat for you, since you just pointed that out: Wizards 29th in free throw rate defensively. So they're a team that will put people on the line regularly. Lou Williams loves getting there.
There you go.
3 points are 3 points.
There it is. I mean, maybe Dwight Howard being off the court might drop that a little bit, but not a lot.
Oh God, I have so much exposure in this game, and I don't want to talk about it. The Miami Heat hosting the Brooklyn Nets, 109.25 implied total for the Heat, 106.25 for the Nets. Just not a lot of scoring projected here. I guess we'll start on the Miami side. We've made mention of Hassan Whiteside previously. He is 8,600 on FanDuel, 8,000 on DraftKings, projected for roughly 33% ownership on both sites. That's exactly what I got him at. I mean, centers have been the play against the Nets for at the minimum a year plus. So
yeah, two plus years.
I don't have any aversion to going to Whiteside. I can't imagine fully fading him on a 4-game slate. Like, he can break a slate at 8K. I don't have any like hot takes for it. He's just a good play.
That's all it is. He's had a couple disappointing games, but that's kind of baked into the price tag a little bit, right? You know, 8K on Whiteside for a guy that has a legitimate 60+ fantasy point upside.
Dude, he put up 80 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 76 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
I say when I there's a difference between ceiling and upside for me. Like, ceiling, yes, okay, his ceiling is like 80, right? But in terms of, I'm playing him with knowledge that he could give me this. The 80 banger is probably it's not something I'm factoring in heavily, you know.
Sure,
but
I'm with you there.
But at 8K, we know that he can still pay off that salary in spades, no question. This is still a guy that's averaging 40 fantasy points on 28 minutes per game. You know, he's still a 1.42 fantasy point per minute guy. That's super efficient. And the only question is, you know, you look at his playing time lately, 22 minutes against Brooklyn, 29 minutes, 27 minutes. So let's do this. Let's take a look. Say, okay, instead of just seeing the minutes and going, oh, I don't like that. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at his fouls. He was in foul trouble against Philly. Joel Embiid does that to it seems like he has a personal beef with every center in the league. Like, even Gobert and him were chopping it up.
Yeah.
Going at it the other day. Against Brooklyn, he had 4 fouls. This is one I want to look up because I can't remember. When the fouls came.
Okay.
But my guess, Josh, is that he got in a little. Let's see. Okay, so first shift, first rotation, 2 personal fouls. Boom. Hassan Whiteside was out after 7 minutes. And then Hassan Whiteside, boom. Okay, there you go. Then Hassan Whiteside comes in midway through, let's see now, 4.5 minutes into the second quarter. Another foul. Doesn't come back in. So he plays only 9.5 minutes in the first half. Only 9.5 minutes in the first half. Then he comes out and he gets another foul in the third quarter. Another foul in the third quarter. That's a pretty good indication of what we had there. And then on the 16th, I won't bore everybody. I'll look this up while you give them relevant information. But
I'm actually putting together a little something so we can touch on the whole like ceiling upside perspective.
Sure.
He just finished.
Whiteside caught another foul, and let's see, 3. So Whiteside in this game on the 16th. Here's an interesting one. He played 16 minutes. He played 16 minutes in the second half. Right? He played 16 minutes in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And only, if you look at his second rotation in the second quarter, he comes in like 2 minutes into it and then only plays 4 minutes and then he's out. Maybe it was because he caught a second personal, but I highly doubt that was it. Either way, I think you get where I'm going here. The foul trouble has a whole lot to do with his and they got blown out by the Lakers the other day. So I think you get him no problem if he's not in foul trouble right back over 30 minutes here. You can't look at those 22, 27 minutes and expect him to keep playing that.
I don't totally agree with you here.
Go ahead.
Whoa, is this real? I don't think this is real. Someone just came into chat and said Fournier has just been traded, but I'm not seeing that anywhere on Twitter, so.
Come on now. Come on,
that's a weird guy to be like, oh, he just got traded.
Yeah,
like I trusted it because it's Fournier on the Magic.
Doing that shit.
Anyway, what I wanted to say was, don't forget now, James Johnson is back, and that is an extra 18 minutes-ish right now that would normally have been spread out between Whiteside, Olynyk, and Bam. And there aren't many alternatives to take those minutes from somebody else, and he is going to play. So I can see his minutes coming down by a couple across the board to make way for James Johnson, who is, really the guy that if they're trying to be good, the guy that they need to get into game shape.
It's certainly a possibility. But I mean, just to play devil's advocate here, Hassan Whiteside against the Lakers, they were down by, I think, 19 points entering the fourth quarter. So this game was a blowout, right? It was a wash.
Sure.
Whiteside played 27 minutes through 3 quarters in James Johnson's first game back. And Johnson's been out with that hernia for a while. So let's give him, I'll even say Johnson can play 20 minutes here, right? Because he actually played into the fourth quarter.
Well, he's come out and said that he needs to lose some weight first.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. That's
good. But so he subbed in for Whiteside and then played. He subbed in for Whiteside, was at the backup 5, because I think this is pretty important. Kelly Olynyk was on the floor with him. He played a 4-minute stint in the first quarter. But then in the second quarter, he played all of his 5.5 minutes alongside Hassan Whiteside. And then in the third quarter, he subbed in for Whiteside, played 2 minutes at the end of that quarter. So it looks like he's going to get some backup 5 run after the first rotation of each half, backup center minutes. And this is just one game, but this is what we're seeing. And then he's going to play alongside Whiteside. So could he take some minutes from Whiteside. It's possible, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think what we might see here is okay. There you go. Okay, I kind of just figured it out. I think Whiteside's minutes stay the same, and Adebayo just loses all of his run. Adebayo played 2 minutes in the first half. If you look at his playing time, he played 14 minutes to close out the game in a blowout, but he played 2 minutes before that. So instead of getting the backup 5 minutes for Whiteside, that was James Johnson, and then they played next to each other. If I'm reading everything correctly, and I think I am, assuming this goes forward and Spoelstra keeps doing this, I think Adebayo loses out the most.
He might. Honestly, it should probably be Olynyk at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Now we're talking about just personal preference.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
He
only played 8 minutes last game, by the way.
I know. All I'm trying to say in the whole scope of this is that I have my eye on the backcourt rotation of the Heat now that James Johnson is healthy.
Front court rotation.
That's what I meant. Front court. Okay. By the way, CJ Miles out, OG Anunoby out, Kyle Lowry game time decision, Kawhi in.
So there is something going on with Lowry then. Nick Nurse downplaying it just to make things difficult.
Yeah, what a dick.
I think I'm not saying you're wrong on what I'm saying is if Whiteside's having a good game, he's not going to be the guy to lose out.
I would agree with you completely.
Because Bam and Olynyk, they have some expendables here.
Yeah. What do you want to do with the rest of Miami? That was a long path on Hassan Whiteside, but we got guys like Josh
but it's
Richardson
kind of important.
Oh, it's super important. I don't mean to downplay it.
Yeah.
But I got 53% Wayne Ellington today. No Dragic. I got some Justice Winslow, and he is chalky. Tyler Johnson came up in 43% of my FanDuel crunches. We have him projected for 6% ownership. We got a lot to talk about here for these guys. And I hate it because I hate rostering the Heat.
No, I know. There's another reason Whiteside's minutes should be okay too, because you're going to see a lot of guys sliding down a position, right? Like you're going to see Richardson sliding from the 2 to the 3, from the 2 to the 1. And I think you're going to see some positional shifts down to soak up these Dragic minutes at times. Tyler Johnson, yeah, why not, man? Tyler Johnson is getting some good run. He was playing well even with Dragic out there. He's played 30 or more minutes in all but one of his last 7 games. It's Tyler. The only problem is Tyler Johnson's 50. What's he priced at on FanDuel?
He's 5,600.
54 on DraftKings. He's definitely a friendlier play on FanDuel.
He certainly is.
Yeah. That 54 is tough to pull the trigger, even against Brooklyn.
I got on the DraftKings crunch that I did previously. I got 30% Tyler Johnson.
30%.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting around 25% Josh Richardson, which I actually don't hate. Just because you're going to see you're going to have a ton of minutes at the point for him. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
And that helps. You can go a lot of places with this team. Whiteside is obviously one of them. You talked about Wayne Ellington. There's no question that Ellington is a risky play, but on a 4-game slate, you're probably going to have to bite the bullet and play him some. And then Tyler Johnson, Josh Richardson, and the like. Rodney McGruder's down to 4,800 on DraftKings, by the way.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he was up. Right. He was above 6K. He was at 6,400. I think that was his peak. But even 4,800 for a guy that's probably going to play 30-plus minutes again tonight is not crazy. And let me just say that if people, everyone goes kind of with the flavor of the week when somebody's ruled out. So like Ellington could be the one here. But with McGruder being only $400 more than Ellington on DraftKings and both of them having the same eligibility, I'm definitely inclined to go McGruder over Ellington here and find that $400.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's just my
ownership is similar. Here's the guy that I want to get your take on. Justice Winslow is projected for 34% ownership on DraftKings. I'm getting like single digits on both sites. High ownership, no appeal for me. I assume they're giving him a boost, or his ownership is getting a boost from the idea of Dragic being out, but I'm not all that fond of this.
Neither am I.
Okay.
Justice Winslow is fine, but that's really all he is. Like, he's just not a guy that you get very excited about.
No.
He's not. I like players that shoot. Like, yeah, once in a while he'll give you some of these decent games in the peripheral, with peripherals, but it's not that often. He is cheap though. Justice Winslow is cheap, so I guess it comes down to, like, are you looking at Winslow? Are you looking at Ellington? Are you looking at Magruder? So I'll just rank them real quick in terms of not the same position, but they're all very closely priced. I actually prefer Magruder over both of them. And then Wayne Ellington's probably gonna come up the rear in this one. I'm gonna go with Winslow over him. I just, with guys like, I have a tough time with these shoot first, scoring, like 100% scoring dependent guards like Ellington. Once in a while he'll have a big game, but it all comes generally in one category. And the 3-pointers help on DraftKings for sure. Like, if he knocks down 6 threes, he's getting you some additional points.
Yeah.
But I think Winslow kills you less than Ellington does. What about you?
I would agree with you that Winslow kills you less than Ellington does. Ellington has the ability to just have a completely zero game.
Yeah, like, it happened like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I would feel more comfortable with Winslow. But for right now, Ellington owned at 20% on FanDuel, 36% for Winslow. I'm already getting more Ellington, so I'm just naturally flip-flopping the two.
Right.
With them being essentially the same price on DK, ownership for Winslow 34%, Ellington 10. I would rather have Wayne Ellington than chalk Winslow.
Oh yeah, if it's an ownership thing, no question. And by the way, I still think Magruder comes in lower than we have him projected at right now. I think Magruder's fallen off the map of relevance.
Did you see what we have him projected at?
What do you have him projected at?
Oh, are we talking ownership?
Yeah,
6%.
Oh, I thought you said just a minute ago that Magruder was at the same expected ownership as Ellington, or is Ellington also very low?
Ellington is at 10.
Magruder
okay. Is at 6. So, essentially the same.
Okay. Fair enough. I misheard
I was like,
you. I thought they were higher. I thought
I don't know. That's a weird look. Yeah, it might come down from 6 to 4.
Yeah, no, you're right. I thought I misheard you.
I thought I misheard you. Hour and 13 minutes in. Hit that like button, people. We're through 2.5 games.
Good info here, man.
It is. Look, it's a fun chat. We've all day to give you quick takes. We'll give those quick takes in the Slack, but hit that like button, and we'll give more takes for everybody else. You want to talk about Brooklyn? You're saying Magruder right now is projected around 6%? Yes.
And Winslow at
34.
34. Okay, I know they're not the same position. Well, both of them have small forward eligibility.
Yeah.
Give me Magruder over Winslow all day in this situation. Not close.
It's not close. I completely agree. I have them separated by 0.3 of a point.
Right. If you ran this scenario back 100 times, exactly with these players, the same active players, Magruder probably outscores Winslow 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Which means that they're basically the same player from a fantasy point perspective. I always take the guy that is a fraction of the ownership. If Winslow was 6% and Magruder was at like 35%, I'd be saying the same thing, but in reverse.
I completely agree.
What do you got on Brooklyn?
More than I want. 51% D'Angelo Russell tickle your fancy at 7,300 on FanDuel?
Dude, if Kenny Atkinson just keeps giving him minutes, I'm all about it. I have no problem with it at all. D'Angelo Russell's a quality scorer. And they just Go ahead.
No, sorry. I thought you were done.
No, they just lost their best, high usage scorer in Karis LeVert, and we're seeing it make a difference. I was curious to see where the minutes would go. Like, obviously, Karis wasn't playing point guard, but would D'Angelo Russell start to see more minutes if Spencer Dinwiddie plays alongside him more? And that has in fact been the case. Like against Washington, Russell played 30 minutes, Dinwiddie played 31. So as we can see, they were clearly playing alongside each other, and that's nice to see because now you got D'Angelo Russell that can go out there and play 33, 35 minutes. If that's the case, 73 is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, I have no problem with it at all. He's just, I mean, I have him projected for a 32% usage rate. Like, dude's gunning. If it's going even mildly well, that's a good sign for him. Because he could certainly go 4 for 17 in the first 3 quarters and not sniff the floor.
Oh, sure. And Atkinson is just so bipolar when it comes to his rotation tendencies.
You know, there's I hate paying attention to Brooklyn unless I know they have a couple guys out.
It's so true, man. It's really true.
Like they use the whole 15-man roster.
Yep. Russell has 27% usage with LeVert off the floor, which is funny because he's got a 28% usage rate on the year. But I'm really not too concerned about that. What if we take Russell's usage since LeVert was out? What was his last game? The 12th against Minnesota.
Are you guessing that? Are you recalling that off of memory?
No.
I was like, Jesus, man. How much do you love Karis LeVert?
Right. The 12th against Minnesota where he played 27 minutes and had 32 Yeah, no. That certainly was not the case. I'm just gonna run it back from the 12th and see what we get, because my guess is that we're getting quite a bit of usage from D'Angelo Russell. It seems odd to me that his usage would go down with their highest usage player off the court, but I don't know, man. I know they were staggered at times this year, but still, it's kind of weird.
Welcome to the NBA DFS strategy show with Josh and Rain Man.
Who said that?
Me.
In chat? Oh, okay. I'm gonna say, don't. I'll take it as a really strange, insulting compliment.
Definitely D'Angelo Russell.
That would have been funny though if I was pulling that out of my ass. 27% though. 27% without LeVert since the 12th. It's kind of weird, right?
Very.
Because LeVert's
I would have expected it to double.
Because LeVert's not a passer, so it's not like Russell's soaking up his assist opportunities.
All right, so I've got some stats for you if you're ready.
Oh, of course.
So
love me some stats.
I have a little tool. I can actually let me share my screen with you in the appear in chat just so you can see what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little NBA WOWY tool where I'll compare with and without, but I'll make the adjustments to see like what their change is in their fantasy points with and without. So Spencer Dinwiddie with Karis LeVert off the floor this year, 9% increase in his FanDuel points per minute. That's a big time adjustment for someone.
Absolutely.
Like it takes time out of it. So it's not as if you're like, oh, well, he went from 23 minutes to 28 minutes. No, this is just his raw performance has increased by 10%. But the key takeaway, same that you've been mentioning with Russell and his usage, he dropped by 7% per minute so far with LeVert off the floor. He's just not. Right. Is that a blip? Is that something weird? Should we expect that? Because I would have expected him to be gunning.
So, that's his efficiency that dropped, right? That's what you're saying, his per minute production?
Yeah, so he has been, for the entire season, D'Angelo Russell is a 1.15 fantasy point per minute guy. And with Karis LeVert off, he's been at 1.05. So I weigh that based on minutes. So it's 7% reduction in his per minute production.
Right. So let me do one more thing then. You have he's played 122 minutes in 4 games with LeVert out. I'm including the one where LeVert played 17 minutes.
We talking about his terrible shooting percentages now?
We'll get there. That's 30 and a half minutes per game.
Yeah.
Prior to that though, he was at 20. I think he was at like 26 minutes per game. So you're losing the efficiency, but you're gaining almost 5 minutes a game. So
Right.
it's going to even out. Actually, it should probably do even a little bit more than even out. And from a fantasy point per game, not per minute standpoint, we should probably start to see a continued uptick in production if we're getting the consistent minutes. But that's what I keep coming back to. It's all about the minutes.
Yeah.
Because you just said it. His efficiency, granted, the sample's not huge, but his efficiency is not up with LeVert out. His volume, just overall, oddly enough, outside of shooting, I don't know. It's just really weird. The minutes are up, though. So say your usage goes down 1%, but your minutes go up 5 per game. You'll take that.
Yeah.
It's just, will we get the consistent minutes? Because 27 minutes from D'Angelo Russell in this scenario is not enough for me at all.
And generally speaking, I would assume, I don't know how true this is, but I would guess that as D'Angelo Russell plays more minutes, he's probably having a good game for this specific team.
Totally agree. Totally 100% agree. That's what Kenny Atkinson does.
Like, if you knew D'Angelo Russell had 33 33 minutes played tonight,
you say he did well.
Yeah, like I would just assume that he played well from a fantasy perspective. If he told me he played 26, like not even from a per minute, I would expect him to be better than his baseline projection, just knowing he played more minutes, because he'll be like, okay, well you can close today.
Yep, you're absolutely right. The only player on this team that Atkinson is pretty much just agnostic with when it comes to minutes is Joe Harris. Like, you get 35 minutes, I don't care if you suck.
Russell's shooting 38.6% from the field, if we're to believe NBA Wowie, without Karis LeVert.
That's not right. Oh wait, on the season you mean?
Yeah, in
okay,
135 minutes.
His shooting in the games that LeVert went out is actually really, really good.
He's 37.8% from 2.
Okay.
With LeVert off the floor. Got to assume that increases a little bit.
Yeah, in these 4 games without LeVert, 10 for 22, 46%, 6 for 18, 33, 8 for 16, 50%, 9 for 16, 56%. So yeah, that was probably when they were staggered minutes back before he got hurt. But look, I'll just end it here. If he keeps getting the minutes, then you're going to want to play him. But like you said, I think a lot of these minutes are going to be contingent upon how he plays to start the game.
I hate taking guys like that, but that's what GPPs are for.
Like, I'm almost more inclined to get some Dinwiddie in there.
I wouldn't hate it, but I didn't get it.
I don't either. I didn't either, not right now. Oh, yeah, I do. I have 16% Dinwiddie.
We got him projected for 23.
That. Ownership?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay coming in a little underweight on Dinwiddie.
I don't blame you. Dinwiddie, 28% usage with LeVert off the floor this year, 299 minutes. That's a little bit higher than what I have him projected for, so I'm actually making a little bit of a tweak. That should push him up quite a bit in my rankings.
It's really interesting.
I'd love to know.
Okay. Since LeVert went out, Dinwiddie's played 61 minutes with D'Angelo Russell. So D'Angelo Russell's played 135 minutes. Dinwiddie has played 61 of those minutes with him. That's 45% of his minutes. He has a 31% usage rate, 1.22 fantasy points per minute, and a 38% assist rate with D'Angelo Russell on the court over that span. So we're seeing now, this is kind of evident to me now that I'm seeing this, that D'Angelo Russell is suffering at the hands of Spencer Dinwiddie since Karis LeVert went out, because Dinwiddie's volume and his usage and his assist rate are all above Russell.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Similar ownership on both sites tonight too. Dinwiddie $1,800 less on DraftKings.
Yeah, there's some decisions to be made there.
There are. Do you like anything else on Brooklyn?
No, I'll just say that Dinwiddie's usage actually comes down with Russell off the court. His assist rate stays the same right now, but his usage and per minute production have gone down. Granted, we're dealing with a small sample here, but I do find it interesting that Dinwiddie's getting more than enough work with Russell on the court. It's not hurting him at all. I think Jared Allen, by the way, I think is firmly in play. He's too cheap. He's been playing way too well. He's getting consistent run. He's too cheap.
Yeah, I'll play whatever Jared Allen I get. Eric S. in chat. 1 hour and 24 so far on a 4-gamer. Fellas never fail.
We got problems.
We're doing our best. Problems. We like to talk.
We got problems. It's just, yeah. Go. Step aside for a minute. Come back in an hour or two, and we'll be starting on the Portland game.
Yeah. The T-minus 15 minutes until someone comments on the YouTube video that our shit's too long and it's 2 hours for a 4-gamer, and then I write on it, then don't watch, because this pretty much happens every Tuesday and Thursday.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
Yeah.
I'm cool with moving to the last game now.
Let's do it. Knicks and Blazers.
Got to be out of here by 2 p.m.
Sure. 107 implied total for the Knicks, 114.5 for the Blazers. God, the Knicks are bad. I don't trust this team. I don't know how anybody can comfortably play anyone unless they are dramatically over or underpriced on a site, because there's no telling who's going to play 20-plus minutes anymore. They're like the bad version of the Nets.
Other than Hardaway.
Right. He's the only guy who you can be confident in, and he's the guy that is like the most volatile on the entire team. Uh-oh, did I lose you? Uh-oh. Even Lofty's fed up with it. Oh, no, you're back.
That was kind of weird. Yeah, everything just froze up on me.
I was like, oh, shit, even he's sick of talking. So like Hardaway for 7,200, sure. Especially if you're trying to go to like some sort of Portland game stack.
Yeah, I'll have plenty of him. He's a guy I've played a lot this year. I loaded up on him against the Pelicans because he was 6,700 on DraftKings, and that's way too cheap. You don't have to like Hardaway. You don't have to like that the guy. He's the type of guy to give you, heart attack and heartburn all at the same time watching his games. It's tough, but you can't argue against the 30% usage rate on a bad basketball team.
Certainly
can't. You can't argue against the fact that Enes Kanter is not in the starting lineup right now, and Hardaway's seeing ample run with Hardaway off the court. Those are things that you're just not. You can't argue against that. So yeah, Kanter's still seeing minutes, but you're also getting 12 minutes or so with him off the court each game for Hardaway, and he is clearly their go-to scorer. So you don't have to like Hardaway. I'm not personally his biggest fan, but I like 20-plus field goal attempts per game, and I like high usage. And knowing that, Hardaway is one of these interesting guys where, say you wanted to run Lillard out there and Nurkic today, right?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, you're hoping that it doesn't blow out. You're playing two guys and you're going to play a lot of them, let's say. This was the case where if you wanted to play Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday last game when they faced them, you need to get some Hardaway in there, because for Davis and Holiday to really hit their ceilings, someone has to do something on the other end to keep the game competitive, and that has normally been Hardaway. It was Hardaway against New Orleans when they lost by only 5 and blew a big lead late in the game. And it's been Hardaway most of the season. And when that's the case, he plays 36, 38 minutes.
Yeah, look, he might be like the most perfect GPP play in the league.
No doubt. He is definitely one of them.
He's a gunner on a garbage team that has no one behind him where they're like, we're going to just play 22 minutes now. Like if he's the version of Kanter that plays.
Yep.
If you knew you were going to get 30 minutes out of Enes Kanter every night, he'd be priced at like $9K.
Oh, no question. Enes Kanter is one of the best rebounding and scoring bigs in the entire league, hands down.
I got him as a 1.25 points per minute guy. No one else is even within a quarter point of him on this fucking Knicks team. They're garbage.
Wait, Cantor or Hardaway?
Cantor. I don't ever get Tim Hardaway because I think he's bad. I have to like generally force him into if I'm playing 150 because he'll always his median projection is terrible.
Right. It's not that he's bad. It's that he's so scoring dependent.
Right.
It makes things tough. Like he needs 30 real points to really give you those big tournament winning numbers.
Yeah. Like if I'm making 150 lineups, I have to put in a rule saying like if I get X and Y, please bring back Tim Hardaway in the lineup. Otherwise, I'll never get him.
Exactly.
His average projection is terrible, but his 80th percentile outcome is massive.
It is. I mean, I'm gonna have some of him today, and a lot of that's because I'm gonna keep playing Yusuf Nurkic.
Yep.
And I'm not getting a lot of Lillard, but I'm tempted to kind of jam some of him in there. I think this is a really good spot for him. And given that, Frank Ntilikina is consistently playing himself off the court, you're going to be seeing a lot of Moutier or Trey Burke defense, and that scares nobody.
Nothing scares anything on New York. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Except for Ntilikina's defense, oddly enough.
He's a good defender. He's a very good defender, but he's so bad offensively that he's actually a liability.
65% Lillard is too much because that's what I'm getting right now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he's
quite a bit.
He's flying off the page for me today.
That's quite a bit. I'm all right with it though. I mean, I'd probably personally I might drop. I'm going to drop it just to get some John Wall in there.
I also have 65% of John Wall.
Okay, well there you go. John Wall and Lillard have such similar range of outcomes.
Yeah,
like on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I've got a lot of both of those dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So
why not? There's no one really that expensive on this slate.
Everyone is under 10K except for Kawhi.
Yep. And Kawhi's under 10K on DraftKings.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of Nurkic, a bunch of CJ, a bunch of Aminu. I'm in for the Portland side of this game.
So am I. Not big on Aminu, but that's just because I never am.
Nah, I totally get that. Let me look at that quick.
Is who he is.
Cleaning the glass. I want to take a look at the Knicks quick. Shooting. Defense. New York Knicks. Okay. They give up. They are 27th in the league in allowing corner threes. That is bad. They are, fourth from the bottom, 22nd in all threes. They don't give up any shots in the mid-range. They are actually first in the short mid-range. But if they're allowing a lot of corner threes, that's when I start looking at guys like Al-Farouq Aminu, who basically only shoots corner threes.
So the Knicks are doing exactly what you're not supposed to do defensively in 2018.
They are 27th in the league at shots in the rim, 27th in the league in corner threes. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. I don't get it.
Nor do I. Well, I mean, I get it. they're shitty.
Bad.
Yeah.
They're bad. I'll have some Nurkic, of course.
I'm gonna have some of the Knicks just because of like their price points. Like Kevin Knox for 4K, who hasn't been that great on so far being back, but it's worth a look, I guess. Trey Burke for 4,200, worth a look. Mitchell Robinson for 36, worth a look. Like these are all GPP only options. You can't come to any of these guys in cash because you have no idea how long they're going to be on the floor.
Knox has been in some foul trouble too. I think you might actually get decent run for him if he's not in foul trouble.
Hey, he should. Should be playing 30 minutes a game. Just let him take his lumps.
Yep, you got a rookie. You're playing for nothing this season. I have some respect though for Portland's defense, but with 4 games, I'm not too concerned about it. By the way, Mario Hezonja is questionable, and I don't even think that makes a big difference because he's not really playing.
I was going to say, I have him projected flat out whether he's questionable or not.
Right. So I don't really think it makes a difference. I think he's caught a couple DNPCDs anyway. So it probably makes no difference whatsoever. You would hope that Knox continues to get decent run and stays out of foul trouble. Also, Noah Vonleh is still getting decent run. He's another guy that gets in a ton of foul trouble. This whole damn team. But he's 3,900. I don't think it's the craziest idea to get a little bit of him in there if we're expecting similar playing time. 30. He's very, very cheap right now. You get 28 minutes, 29 minutes maybe from Vonleh, and you should be okay. He's just shy. He's like a 0.9 fantasy point per minute producer, and he's under 4K.
I have 17% right now.
That's pretty much where I'd feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Why is anybody in the chat talking about the Unicornet? Josh, will you have any Luke Cornett at min salary on FanDuel? Or is he supposed to play 20 minutes tonight? I have 0. He doesn't play at all. So are we missing news?
We must be.
He's unplayable currently. I didn't even know he was on the main roster.
What?
The last time he played was November 14th. Nope, November 4th. I'm bad at reading.
What are we missing?
I have no idea. I saw people talking about him earlier, and now someone just asked, will you have any Luke Cornett at min salary on FanDuel? Absolutely not, unless they tell me he's going to play 20 minutes.
Yeah. Mitchell Robinson played 9 minutes and had 5 fouls last game.
That's not bad.
Wow.
Attaboy, Mitch.
Foul every 1.8 minutes. Good job, dude.
I would say that Portland is the team that we don't really have to talk too much about. There's a top 4 here, and then I mean, we've addressed Aminu, but if you want to play Dame, CJ, or I'd have a tough time playing CJ on DK. He's only 6,700 on FanDuel, $100 cheaper, so I'd be good. Mike D's just kidding. So
I was gonna say, if you want McCollum ruining your life, don't play him or play him, because it'll happen one way or the other.
I wonder how he's been in New York in his career. Strikes me as the type of guy that would like that.
See, Dame strikes me as a type MSG.
Oh yeah, me too.
Show out,
Me too. I think we're done. I don't have anything else to say about this game, and we've been talking for an hour and 37 minutes.
That's insane. That's just insane.
Oh man.
I do have Damian Lillard's history at Madison Square Garden in front of me.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
Me.
Not much. He's got a couple 30-point games mixed in there. No real peripherals. I don't think he's done much, man. He's got 45 fantasy points is the best he's done in 6 career games at the Knicks.
We're talking Dame, right?
Dame, yeah.
Do you have CJ by any chance in front of you?
Should I pull up old McCollum? Yeah. Hold on, let's see what we got here. CJ.
Markelle Fultz out a week.
He played 7 minutes yesterday, and Brett yanked him. It was like the worst game I've ever seen in my life. The kid hustles, but it's really just sad at this point. Getting beat, getting stuck on picks, and then running back and just running into the shooter's back and fouling him on 3-point attempts, turning the ball over, offensive fouls. Oh my God, this poor kid, man.
I feel bad for him.
I feel bad for him. I do. You know why I feel bad for him? Because he's not lazy. If you watch Markelle Fultz, he's chasing down offensive rebounds. He's chasing down missed free throws, which, spoiler alert, there are a lot of them. And
he's mentally broken somehow.
He's playing his ass off.
Got the yips
in terms of hustle, but kid's just not good, man. It's really a shame, because he's trying, but it's.
I mean, did you see the videos that have been coming out over the past couple of days of his shooting, while he was still working out for still at Washington, just bombing threes, looking smooth. And now he's doing this bouncing back and forth between his hands, free throw motion. It's what the fuck is happening to this dude? He's just mentally broken. He's Chuck Knobloch.
Yep, it's sad. It's actually sad.
He's a kid. He's 20.
That's why, because he's so young.
He's a child.
I get you're 18. You're an adult when you're 18, but anyone that's watching that, that's bullshit. When I was 18, I was an immature moron.
Yeah, it's gotta be, and he's on the world stage, just people calling him everything, every day, 24/7. If he went onto Twitter and Googled his name, it's just people treating him like absolute dog shit.
Yeah, like a subhuman. And it's crazy because you're also on a team that's getting so much nationwide attention now with Butler and Embiid and Simmons. You know what I mean? Like you're the guy. They brought Jimmy Butler on because Markelle Fultz wasn't getting it done, and they needed a number 3. It's unfortunate. It really is.
It's insanity, man. He's so broken. Yeah. I don't know what you do. I don't know if there's anything you can do. It's insane. It's so insane.
It's a shame too, because if you're not shooting threes, you're kind of useless. Like they
Thank
don't
God
need
he's
another
a millionaire now,
right? You don't, yeah, right. That's the one thing you don't. Like, you're okay. I feel bad for, like money's one thing, but I legitimately do feel for the kid.
Yeah, I'm happy that if this does go to garbage, he can come out of this the other side and be set for life.
Exactly. He doesn't have
a comfortable living. Yeah.
Correct. Even though you screwed us, bro. You screwed us in the Sixers.
On that note,
like,
subscribe, do all the good stuff. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 7-day free trial on any package we have. If you want Fantasy Cruncher, pick a Fantasy Cruncher package. We'll have the deep dive coming out from Adam in the early afternoon. Deeper dive up at 5 o'clock. They'll be able to get it in an hour, unlike us. And then live before lock. Chris Spags, Eddie Fear breaking it down, taking us all the way up until 7 o'clock. Offie, anything else? Any other plugs?
No, good luck today. And, well, we still got a couple days before Thanksgiving, so I'll leave that one alone for now.
There you go. Another plug. Tune in 2:30 today from A to B. Andrew Barron and Ben Raza breaking down and previewing the 3 Thursday night football games. Check it out. Get in there now. NFL content.
3 Thursday night football games. That'll be interesting.
What?
They're all on Thursday night? Well, all 3 of them?
Thursday throughout the day. Thanks, Luffy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All 3 Thanksgiving games will be broken down by Andrew and Ben. Tune in.
There it is.
Alrighty. We've talked enough. I have no more words left. Hour and 42 minutes, 4 games. You can't beat that sort of efficiency.
This is embarrassing.
Yeah, we're great at it. We're great at it.
Oh, God.
Best of luck, everybody. We're out of here.